لما فرض الله الفرائض وسن الأحكام بعد الأعمال على الأقسام فمنها أعمال خاصة بالجوارح ومنها أعمال خاصة بالقلوب فجعل أعمال القلوب في كثير من الأحيان مقدمة على أعمال الجوارح كما يقول الله عز وجل في محكم تنزيله فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. وبين الله عز وجل أنه لا ينفع الإنسان يوم القيامة إلا إذا قدم على الله بقلب سليم كما قال الله عز وجل في محكم تنزيله يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم، أي سليم من الشرك والرياء ومن القوادح التي تفسد عليه عمله سواء أفسدت عمل الباطن أو عمل الظاهر. فالرفعة عباد الله، فالرفعة عند الله عز وجل في درجات ومضاعفة الحسنات وتكفير السيئات تتحقق بإصلاح أعمال القلوب. Respected brothers and sisters, you realize that this tawheed that we have, this tawheed that we utter every single day, problem happens with our day-to-day life with this tawheed. It can happen. For certain people, it doesn't happen. For many people, khalal or deficiency starts happening in this tawheed. I'll tell you what it is. Number one is that they are not sincere towards this tawheed. What is tawheed? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. There's no deity or deity worthy of worship except Allah. So you're negating all the deity. You're negating all the gods, all the isms that exist. You're negating it. La ilaha, then you negate and then you affirm. Illallah. It's not enough. Muhammad Rasulullah. La ma'buda bihaqqin illallah. There's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. That Allah is there. Huwa mawjood. He's right there. He's above his throne. Mustawin, he's high above. He's not everywhere the way people think it is. It's another khalal, another deficiency that people believe that, oh, Allah is there, Allah is everywhere, He's right beside me. No. With His knowledge, He's everywhere. Since when did we believe Allah is everywhere? What are you trying to say, that Allah Azza wa Jalla is also in the bathroom? No. It's a big deficiency that people, they believe in. Allah Azza wa Jalla is high above. The hadith, it comes, it's like a seed in the hand of Allah. That's how Allah Azza wa Jalla really is. Him as being. Allahu Akbar. That's what we say. Don't we say Allahu Akbar? Allah is the most greatest, the most supreme, the one and only. For this reason, one of the things that comes in people's lives is that, you know what, He is there, He's everywhere. And they have this deficiency in the belief. Now, after believing that Allah Azza wa Jalla huwa mawjood, He's there, He's high above. He's not inside His creation. He's outside the creation. And how we know this is the very surah that we recite. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabb, Lord. His Lordship comes along. His Lordship comes along. Can a Lord be inside the creation? The person who created something, is it necessary for Him to be inside His creation? No, He doesn't have to be. He created this thing. It is not necessary for Him to be inside His creation. He's outside the creation. Brothers and sisters, the third thing that He needs is sincerity. Is being sincere towards His tawheed. Then comes the second part, that is Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Without believing in the nubuwwah, His prophethood, one cannot be a believer. One cannot be a believer. When someone believes and disbelieves in the nubuwwah, in the prophethood, then he cannot be a believer. We all know this and we affirm this. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. For this reason, sincerity, my brothers and sisters, is the most important thing that you'll carry in your lives. It's being sincere towards this tawheed. Because unfortunately, when you wake up every single day, you're going to sleep, you start desensitizing this tawheed to such an extent, your salah becomes habitual, right? Your fara'id becomes habitual. Oh, Ramadan is here, don't worry, I'm going to fast. And the Ramadan comes, you're hungry, and then you break your fast, you eat so much meal. It becomes a habitual thing. You have to differentiate between sincerity. If you're sincere, then you'll do it wholeheartedly, for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal alone. For this reason, before sincerity comes something else, my brothers and sisters, and that is niyyah. That is intention. Why intention? Because without intention, you will not going to get your reward. Simple as. It is fard ayn upon every Muslim to have an intention behind his action. For this reason, only one, Umar Khattab radiallahu anh, it's only him, from him we get this hadith that is gharib. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The very famous hadith that we all learn. The Sahih, where Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, he mentioned in his beginning of his book, and many ulama, many scholars, they always mention in the beginning of their book, in the muqaddimah, in the main opening of the book, they mention this hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Actions are according to one's intention, and everyone will get what was intended. Whoever migrates with an intention for Allah and His Messenger, the migration will be for the sake of Allah and His Messenger. And whoever migrates for worldly gains or a woman to marry, then his migration will be for the sake of whatever he migrated for. For what? فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Meaning, mockery, shunning that kind of lifestyle, where you travel, where you're running behind the donkey, running behind the dunya. Everything is with the dunya. There's nothing for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Your intention is kharban. Your intention is not in the right place. Your intention is for the dunya only. Since when was your life was only for the dunya? Since when was your life was only for the dunya? This is a very misunderstanding that people have. When we wake up from Salatul Fajr, we start our day for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's how we do. Didn't Allah Azza wa Jal say in Quran al-Kareem, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. For indeed my prayers, my sacrifice, my living, my death, everything is for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Didn't He say that in the Quran al-Kareem? This hadith emphasized, this hadith, the famous hadith that your whole dunya, your whole sharia is based upon this hadith. Without this hadith, your deen is not completed. Every good deed that you do goes back to this hadith. What are you standing for? When you have come to the Salatul Jummah, did you only come to fulfill a pillar only? Is that how it works? To complete a wajib? No, it's more than that. It's to attain, it's to come to congregation, it's to fulfill a pillar, yes. It's to gain an advice, gain a nasiha for the coming days ahead, to listen to something that is good. These are the reason why you come to Salatul Jummah. When you go and pray, are you only praying to fulfill a pillar? Ramadan is just on the corner. Are you going to get prepared just to fulfill a pillar? When you go for Hajj, and you'll find when you go for Umrah, when you go to Hajj, billahi alayk, you find the ghafla of the Muslimin in Umrah. You go to Umrah, you go to Mecca, you go to Medina, you realize that the Ummah of Islam is so much in ghafla, so much in slumber. Because of this situation, that's the place where we are today. Because there's a ghafla. When the ghafla is awakened, you realize that, you know what, this dunya is haqir. This dunya is so lowly. When you live for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, you learn to forgive people much more quicker. Brothers and sisters, this hadith is a very strong hadith. This hadith, to act upon this hadith, it needs sincerity. Meaning, every good deed that you do, there has to be an intention behind. There has to be an intention behind. For this reason, when you fast in Shahr Ramadan, or the Nawafil fast that brothers and sisters that they do, you realize that the reward has no limit. In fasting, there's no limit in Allah Azza wa Jal rewarding you. Because this is between you and your Rabb. When someone fasts, how likely does a person tell you, have you eaten? No, you get on with your day. Most likely he will think the fact that you've eaten something. But actually you're fasting. Especially in the month of Ramadan. Yes, everyone knows that they're fasting. But this is between you and your Lord. This reward that you'll get, same as Hajj. Hajj, what is the reward for performing Hajj? Al-Hajj al-Mabrur is, the reward is that you'll enter Jannah. Is that Allah Azza wa Jal forgive you and He'll enter you to Jannah. This is Hajj al-Mabrur, the accepted Hajj. Allah Azza wa Jal, He rewards the mu'mineen, He rewards the believers with no kind of boundary. He will reward you according to the way you have performed that action. According to the way you have put sincerity into that action. That's to realize many stories of the past, where many of the past people came to the dream and said, where are you? And they say, I'm in Jannah. What was the reason for you entering Jannah? They said, the little money that I have spent for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal forgiven me. He was sincere in spending those sterling, those dollars, or those dinar or dirham. He was very sincere towards spending those money, that such a person was admitted to Jannah. Brothers and sisters, another thing that happens when someone who doesn't have the reason why intention has been legislated is to differentiate between your normal life and your worship life. It's to differentiate between your normal life and your worship life. There's a differentiation when you put intention behind it. Okay? When you live for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, you become a better husband. You become a better son to your parents. When you live for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, you're more careful into doing this action, right? You're much more careful in doing this action because Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. The one who yearns in meeting his Lord, the one who yearns to meet his Rabb, فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. Then let him make his action sincere towards Allah Azza wa Jal. When someone who is not sincere with his action, then there's other distortion that comes along, and I'm going to get there in a bit. When someone he goes in with the right intention, he doesn't rectify his intention, then for such a person, he will start having doubts in the action that he's doing. Right? For example, he's part of a charity organization. So you have a lot of money pouring in. And this is something that I've dealt with a couple of days ago with the brother who was explaining me that during his university years, they were collecting money for Allahu Alam what he mentioned, I think for Iraq war or from Afghanistan war, long time ago. Now he mentioned that the money was going into his account. Now there's a bit of dispute that went on where he wanted to declare the money, but the other group, they did not want to declare the money. They wanted to know what it's not needed. Oh, British government, this and that. They did not want to mention. They did not, declare the money that was going into the account. So they get all the money. I think it was like 10 or 15, back then maybe about 12 or 13,000 pounds or something along that line. Now, the brother I was working with, he mentioned that to me a couple of days ago. He said, you know what, I want you to declare everything because you're doing a good action. So you have to justify with a good action. Does it make sense? You're doing a good action, then justify with doing a good action as well. Don't mess you up on the way. Your intention is pure. So do it legally. Do it wholeheartedly. Don't let anything come in the way. Same way for another person. Who entered into marriage sincerely. Spent a lot of money on mahar. He's really sincere in doing that good deed. But later on, what happens? He becomes personal. He gets hurt. He abuses her. Look at the intention behind. They done an arranged marriage. They come together. It's a beautiful ibadah. It's a beautiful worship. And nikahu min sunnati. Nikah is my sunnah. Rasulullah, he said, nikah, marriage is is something that is only a man would do. It's a manhood. It's a beautiful ibadah. Now marriage comes with a lot of issue. But what happened now? He became personal with this issue that he embarked upon, that is marriage. That is sunnah. That is a beautiful thing that he's trying to do. So his intention becomes deficient. His intention in the beginning was good, but now it becomes personal. It becomes personal. He doesn't care about her anymore. He doesn't want to, he abuses her with words. He abuses her, sometimes physically. So what happened is, the intention was good, but distortion starts happening in this marriage. This is something that everyone faces, by the way. Your intention is good in the beginning, or maybe you're opening up a business where you say to yourself, you and your friends, that you will pay, that you're not going to go into alcohol, for example. It's something I dealt with about 15 years ago, where they opened up a beautiful restaurant. MashaAllahumma barik. It was already busy. It was already doing well. But guess what happened? The shaitan came and gave the wiswas and said, you know what? Just get the alcohol license. Just get the off-license certificate, You'll sell something. You'll make triple the money. Because I heard apparently when you sell alcohol, the money becomes much more. So they started adding alcohol beverages and all types of wine and champagne and all sorts. Okay, it's under all one category anyway. It's khumur. Okay, intoxicates your mind. It's a substance. It's an evil substance. We all know what it is. But what happened? The intention was great. The intention was beautiful. 5% of the profit going to go towards charity. Now they were really tight. The brothers were really, Allahumma barik, they're practicing. They had so much deen in them, so much enthusiasm. They've opened a company for, I think back then it was 200,000 UK pounds. It was a big business, Allahumma barik. I was there with them throughout. But guess what happened? After 1 year, alcohol came in. Subhanallah. Where's the barakah now? Every money that they'll be feeding from this profit, is it really halal? It's something that you have to question. Is it really halal, the profit that you're making from alcohol? Straight away you go and buy yourself food, and you're putting, you're gathering food to your own home, and you're feeding that money, that profit to your children. Do you know where I'm coming from? Do you understand where that mindset is going now? Now, what that happens is there's a bit of a defect in the children. The haram money that they will be feeding the children with now, there's a bit of a khatar, bit of an issue there, because later on, if the children gets misguided, it will be your fault. There are certain halal ingredients that you have to make sure that you have in place. Halal income, being sincere, doing it according to the Sharia al-Islamiyah, not according to your own whims and hawa. When your main objective becomes money, becomes greed, then this is where the barakah goes away from your life. And then what happens? You go home, your wife doesn't listen to you. Naam, hada sahih. It's true. You go home, your child doesn't listen to you. They don't want to get to know nothing about your deen. That's the defect that happened. That's the la'nah. That's the la'nah that takes place in one's home. Yes, this is what happens. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the ability to earn halal rizq. أقول قولي هذا نستغفر الله لي ولكم وسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب إنه هو البر الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Listen to this hadith. Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, من كانت الدنيا همه فرق الله عليه أمره وجعل فقره بين عينيه. The one whose dunya become the most important thing in his life, then he's annihilated and he will see nothing but poverty in front of his eyes. When someone's aim and objective only becomes this dunya, he lives for this dunya, then poverty comes in front of his eyes. وَلَمْ يَأْتِ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَا كُتِبَ لَهُ. And he will get this dunya, he will get whatever he wants. Allah Azza wa Jalla going to pave way for him this dunya. وَمَنْ كَانَتِ الْآخِرَةِ نِيَّتُهُ. The one whose hereafter is his main objective. جَمَعَ اللَّهُ لَهُ أَمْرُهُ. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla will straighten his affairs. وَجَعَلَ غِنَاءُ فِي قَلْبِهِ. And he will make his heart much more richer. وَأَتَتْهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَهِيَ رَاغِمَةٌ. And dunya will come to him even though he doesn't want the dunya. It will come to him. Meaning, when you live for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla, when you're sincere in doing this good deed. Now remember, sincerity even in your workplace. Being sincere even in the work that you do. Yes, many of us, subhanAllah, we're probably in a dead-end job. It's really hard. It's understandable. Sometimes really hard to come out of where you are. You've been doing it for a very long time. And sometimes you can get a bit disheartened, like, why am I doing this? I don't feel great anymore. It's not beautiful as it was before. But do you know what? You have to do it. Because if you don't do it, billahi alayhi, you've got family at home. You've got children going to look into your eyes. You need to feed them. You won't going to get no government support. Don't even go there. Because there's no point. You have rent to pay, you got mortgage to pay, whatever it may be. You have to rectify your intention. You have to embrace yourself in loving that job. Because if you don't, then other things are going to follow up, like depression and anxiety and hating yourself. And slowly, you're going to hate yourself. So that's a big issue. Brothers and sisters, without sincerity, there's nowhere we're going to go. Without sincerity, your action will not going to be valid. Because who are you doing it for? When you do your good action, who are you doing it for? If you're not doing it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, then who are you standing in front of? The reward that you get from the Kiram and Katibin, what are they going to write for you? For who? So the intention, either going to be good or bad, simple as. Either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. For this reason, you realize many scholars, many ulama, many people of the past, pious men, they lived a very sincere life. And I'm going to mention a story of very famous story of Zayd ibn al-Abidin, rahimahullah, when he used to live in Medina. He used to give a lot of charity, okay? He used to give a lot of charity, laylan wa nahar. وَيُوصَلُ ذَلِكَ إِلَى بُيُوتِ الْأَرَامِلِ وَالْفُقَرَاءِ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. He used to give a lot of money to the poor, and he used to do it at night time when everyone's asleep. He used to carry flour and everything at his back, and he used to carry that, and he used to leave in front of their houses. Zayd ibn al-Abidin, he used to do it when there's no one there. No one, even though he had people used to work for him, because he's someone who's very well known in the community. So what happened was, he used to give it at night time. Now when Zayd ibn al-Abidin, rahimahullah, when he passed away, he done it for many years, by the way. And no one knew where this food was coming from. And he's doing a regular basis at night time when everyone's asleep. When he passed away, they saw marks at his back. They saw marks in his back. And that's how they revealed that it was Zayd ibn al-Abidin, rahimahullah, who was the one who was doing that good deed. That was his secret good deed. That was his secret good deed. When it comes to good deeds, my brothers and sisters, certain things has to be hidden. When it comes to Qiyamul Layl, you're going to have to wake up by yourself. That's how you increase in the sincerity. When you give charity, sometimes it's best to go online and just give it. £5, £10, whatever it may be. Give it in secret. That's how you increase in the sincerity. There's another story that comes in my mind when the author of Hanbali Tabaqat, Imam al-Maqdisi, Abdul Ghani al-Maqdisi, the famous hadith scholar, was in prison in Jerusalem. So he's going through a bit of a tough time. Okay? So he got up at night, being truthful and sincere with Allah Azza wa Jal, he began to pray. He began to pray, and with him in the prison were Jews and Christians. Now what he did, his normal action that he used to pray is to weep in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. He used to weep and he used to cry and ask Allah for forgiveness. And what happened was many people inside the prison, the Jews and the Christians, they became Muslim. And they went up to the jailer, the person, the security guard, and said, you know what, we are Muslim, and I want you to go and speak to the Khalif, and I want us to be forgiven. And they said, why? Why is that happening? Why have you become Muslim? Is it because of this? The alim Imam Ghani al-Maqdisi? He was reciting ayat of Yawm al-Qiyamah. It reminded us about Yawm al-Qiyamah, and it made us closer to your deen. And for this reason, we have accepted Islam, and we want to be free. And this is how the scholars were. This is how the people of knowledge and people of wisdom, how they were. They had certain action that was pure and sincere. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the tawfiq of becoming sincere and pure, in our hearts, in our minds. Because billahi alayk, the shaitan can come to you any moment. His only objective is to ruin your good intention that you do in your life. صلوا على بشير النذير يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم إنا نسألك بأن لك الحمد لا إله إلا أنت المنان بديع السماوات والأرض ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم باعد بيننا وبين الخطايانا كما باعدت بين المشرق والمغرب. اللهم نقنا من خطايانا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم اغسلنا من خطايانا بالثلج والماء والبرد. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. يا مقلب القلوب والأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا إلى طاعتك يا أرحم الراحمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقيموا الصلاة.